What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to the Teens and Queens podcast. Today we got a special episode for you guys. Free agent catcher James McCann has signed a 4-year, just over $40 million deal with the Mets. The full contract hasn't really been disclosed yet, so we don't know how much money James McCann will be making. There's been recent buzz in the past few weeks about McCann to the Mets. Finally, the deal gets done, and I can't wait to watch James McCann put on that orange and blue. I'm going to give this to Mike to see what his thoughts are on this deal.
So James McCann's going to be the starting catcher for the New York Mets for the foreseeable future after we signed him to a 4-year deal today. The last 2 years he was with the White Sox, putting up pretty good numbers, especially compared to his numbers in Detroit, which were subpar. I think this is a good signing since, over the past few years, we really haven't had like a great catcher. Travis d'Arnaud was kind of most of his Mets career, always an injury-prone type player. Never got to see his full potential that he's now showing in Atlanta. And Wilson Ramos never really got us over the hump, as he had a solid 2019 season offensively, but his defense was rather bad. And I think McCann's going to be a way better option for us, as many of his former White Sox teammates have claimed that he's a great guy to have behind the plate, and he's a great leader. 4 years was a little steep for us to give him that, but I think to get us over the hump to get him, we had to give him that amount of years, because there is definitely other suitors out there for him, as a lot of teams are looking for catchers. Specifically, the Angels were one of the teams that were also in on him. So I think I'm a fan of the deal, and I'm looking forward to seeing James McCann behind the plate for us next year. Pass this one on to Tim now.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly there, Mike. It was a good deal. We got the catcher. We haven't had a good catcher in a minute. We thought we were getting a good deal out of Wilson Ramos, but he just underperformed in his contract years. He was solid offensively in 2019, but never worked well with our pitchers. And with our great pitching staff, we need someone who can work great with them. So I'm happy we can get James McCann. He's been improving on his defense greatly over the past 2 years, which you love to see. He's a great framer. Lucas Giolito complemented his defense ability and ability to work with the pitchers. So that's great to see. I'm glad we could get him. I agree 4 years was a little steep, but I agree with Mike there when he said if that gets us over the hump and gets us the deal, which it has, I'm a big fan of it. And it's a great bridge to our catcher in our minor league system, Francisco Alvarez, who will be ready in arguably 3, possibly 4 years. So you never know with that. So it'll be a good bridge off the McCann to Alvarez. So I think that's overall a great deal. I'm glad we could get him over the Angels, who tried sneaking in on the deal. We've had talks with McCann these past 2 weeks. We thought we were going to get a deal a few days ago, but we finally got it now. So I'm super happy to see James McCann in the orange and blue, and can't wait for the 2021 season. And that's all I got on that topic. So if anyone else has anything else to add, please do.
I'd like to add a few things. James McCann, all-star catcher with the White Sox in 2019, drafted by the Tigers. Spent 2019 and 2020 with the White Sox. Back up to arguably one of the best, if not the best catcher in baseball, Yasmani Grandal last year, who also got a pretty big contract for a catcher. He still produced a lot of good numbers: 289 average, 360 on base, 896 OPS with 7 homers and 15 RBIs, and his defense has been improving, like 2 others said right here. Also, he caught Lucas Giolito's no-hitter this past season, so that's really cool to see that we just got a catcher who's caught a no-hitter in his career. And if that's it, if anybody else wants to add anything to it, they can.
I just want to add that even though this isn't JT Realmuto, we're still getting a very good catcher in James McCann. And compared to what JT Realmuto is going to get, it's probably maybe 1/3 of what he's going to get. This still allows us to go out and get a George Springer or a Trevor Bauer, with the ability of still having a good catcher now behind the plate. We haven't had great production from catchers in recent years, and I think that McCann's really just going to elevate not only our overall roster but just the team.
Yeah, I'd like to add one more thing. I think you said it opens up a lot more options. George Springer being one of them. A bunch of relievers we need to go after as our bullpen needs a little help and we need someone in the rotation. So if we were to get Real Muto, these other options wouldn't be as open as they would be spending that much money. As you said, it'd be 1/3 of Real Muto's contract arguably around. So all these other options that we need to fill and spots we need to fill are all now opening because of the deal we took with James McCann. So there we go.
Also, one more quick thing to add. I'm pretty sure Jeff McNeil grew up, or he might have played Little League with James McCann. I'm not completely sure, but there is some type of relationship between them, as Jeff McNeil posted about it on his Instagram, from Santa Barbara to them being now New York Mets teammates. Glad to see that they're reunited, and glad to see that James McCann's in the orange and blue.
Absolutely. I think that's all we got for that topic. So a lot of good discussions came there. So let's move on to the next one.
This is going to be pretty cool to announce. Jerry Blevins, Mets fan favorite from a few years back, has signed a minor league deal with the team. Really glad to have Jerry back. He was very good with the Mets in his tenure. He was let go by the Mets, and glad to see him back, as he's, been a very good pitcher for the Mets in his career, and also a very good guy and a very good class act to fans, as I've met him before. And I'll pass this on to anybody who wants to talk about Jerry returning to the Mets.
Yeah, I definitely agree. This is a definitely good signing. It's to a minor league deal, so it's another low risk, high reward, just as Chase and Shreve was and Erasmo Ramirez was in the 2020 season. So it's definitely we're not taking any risk on it, so why not? And as we've seen, in this 2017 season, he has the stuff to be. He's not a bad arm, especially for the deal we got on him. So I don't know if he'll make the major league roster, but there's definitely a good possibility we'll see him in Queens in the 2021 season. So I'm a big fan of the signing. As you said, he's a fan favorite. All the fans love him, and I can't wait to have him back in his curveball. Hopefully it's still there for us, and hopefully we get a glimpse of it in 2021. If anyone else has any thoughts on that.
Jerry Blevins he's a fan favorite here. Great personality. He's actually been working on SNY recently. He's been on a few segments. Last year he was signed by the A's, I believe, and eventually signed with the Giants for spring training. He didn't have a great spring training, so he was then released. And then he didn't pitch during the 2020 season. But before that, he was with the Braves in 2019, had a decent season. And before that, he was with the Mets for 4 seasons. So this is a guy that Sandy Alderson really likes. It's great depth. He provides us with a good lefty option, since our only lefty on the 40-man roster is Daniel Zamora. And this allows the Mets to do one of two things. We could either just sign a bunch of lefties to minor league deals and just have them compete for that last bullpen spot, or we could just have Jerry be depth and go sign another big name lefty reliever like a Brad Hand, or maybe even bring back Justin Wilson, who was pretty good with the Mets the past 2 seasons. But overall, I think this is a great signing for us. I mean, it's not too significant, so don't worry about it being one of the Mets' major moves this offseason. But good teams, they accumulate depth just in case that the injuries happen. Injuries are just a part of sports, and they're going to happen no matter what, sadly. And if Jerry's one of our depth pieces, I mean, it's not a bad depth piece to have on our team. So, yeah.
I'll add one more thing to this topic about Blevins and minor league deals, like Mike was mentioning, just depth pieces to compete for a spot on the roster. And you look at a team like the Los Angeles Dodgers, who obviously great franchise, builds well. It's just, you look at the team and you look at the guys that they bring in, like minor league deals, and they work out. They work out for them. You get different guys on the team, and they just work out for the Dodgers. So hopefully the Mets can start accumulating more minor league deals where they can produce like they have for the Dodgers. I just want to give that quick example because I thought that was like something to point out as Mike brought up a good point. So if anybody else has anything else to say, I'll let them do so.
Yeah, definitely. With these minor league signings, they could definitely work out, as you said, with Dodgers. And overall, I think we covered everything with Jerry Blevins. So that's all. That's all the time we have for today's topic and topics we have with James McCann and Jerry Blevins. So hopefully, you guys enjoyed today's episode of the Teens of Queen podcast. If you did, make sure you subscribe, leave a like, and comment your thoughts on James McCann or Jerry Blevins signing. And we'll see you guys later.
Let's go Mets.